Welcome to Insta Owl's classes. We at Insta Owl believe in democratizing education for one and for all. Welcome students, let's continue studying print culture and the modern world. The role of print culture and the French Revolution. Historians' argument: print culture is believed to have set the stage for the French Revolution. Let's see how. Popularization of Enlightenment ideas. Print spread Enlightenment critiques of tradition, superstition, and despotism. Advocated reason over custom, challenging the church and state authority. So we can see that Enlightenment ideas were taking over France, and that is also the reason for France's revolution. Writings by Voltaire and Rousseau inspired questioning and rational thinking. Let's see the culture of dialogue and debate. Print fostered public debate and re-evaluation of values, norms, and institutions. Encouraged questioning of existing ideas and beliefs. New ideas of social revolution emerged from this public discourse. Criticism of monarchy. The late 1780s literature mocked royalty and questioned the social order. Cartoons depicted monarchy as indulgent while common people suffered hardships. Underground circulation of this content fueled anti-monarchy sentiments. So now, remember, books are being used to give the view that the monarchs were living a lot of indulgence and abundance in their palaces, but the people were suffering. Underground circulation means circulating this without the knowledge of many people. This led to fueling sentiments of anti-monarchy, anti-kings, anti-nobles in the French Revolution. Evaluating the impact of print culture, spread of ideas. Print undeniably helped spread various ideas. Definitely, there was a diverse exposure. Readers encountered both revolutionary and conservative literature, including the church and monarchical views. So there was religious books also, and there were monarchical views, and there was another revolutionary book also. Selective influence. People were not directly influenced by everything they read. They accepted or rejected ideas based on personal interpretation. Yes, so books were not the only one to blame, because people did have a rational, they had a logic thinking, and that is why they were not directly influenced. They accepted or even rejected the ideas based on their personal interpretation. Possibility of new thinking. Print didn't directly shape minds but opened up new ways of thinking. Please look at the screen. This is an illustration of the nobility and the common people before the French Revolution. So you can see the nobility is indulgent, but the common people are suffering. Let's see the mass literacy in the 19th century. Rise in literacy. Mass literacy expanded in Europe, increasing readers among children, women, and workers. So there was a lot of increase in literacy rate. Children as readers. Compulsory education led to a surge in children readers. School textbooks became essential for publishers. A children's press was established in France in 1857, publishing both new and traditional tales. The Grimm brothers. One of those books that was compiled was by the Grimm brothers. They compiled and edited folk tales for publication. Folk tales means old stories which have been prevalent, shaping them for a new audience. Women's role in print culture. Women became key readers and also writers. Penny magazines and manuals targeted women. Female novelists like Jane Austen and the Bronte sisters influenced the image of the modern world. So we had very famous writers. Even George Eliot was one of them, who was a woman writer, and they started writing stories for women by women. Workers and literacy. Lending libraries educated white-collar workers and artisans. Self-educated workers began writing political tracts and autobiographies. Shortened work days allowed time for self-improvement and writing. Let's see Instabites. Overcoming reading challenges. Thomas Wood says, read old newspapers by firelight due to lack of candles. And Gorky struggles. His childhood. My childhood and my university depict the hardships of accessing books, but still they overcame all these challenges to become literate. Let's see innovations in printing and publishing. Metal presses. Late 18th century saw the transition to metal presses. 19th century printing innovations. Richard M. Howe's cylindrical press that came in the mid-19th century now could print 8,000 sheets per hour. Offset press in the late 19th century printed up to 6 colors simultaneously at one time, and electrically operated presses came in the early 20th century, further sped up printing. Let's see the mechanical improvements. Enhanced paper feeding methods, better plate quality, and new controls improved the print quality. Innovations transformed the appearance of printed books. Publishing strategies. 19th century periodicals serialized novels, influencing novel writing styles. Shilling series in the 1920s in England offered popular works in affordable formats. Dust covers of book jackets are detachable outer covers of a book made of paper and printed with text and illustrations. Publishers released cheap paperback editions to maintain their sales. Please look at the screen. This is an illustration of advertisements at a railway station in England. A lithograph by Alfred Konkinен in 1874. Print culture in India, before and after. Let's see how print has affected India. Manuscripts before print. India had a rich tradition of handwritten manuscripts in Sanskrit, Arabic, Persian, and even vernacular languages, local languages. Manuscripts were made on palm leaves or handmade paper, often beautifully illustrated. They were preserved by pressing between wooden covers or sewing them together. Challenges of manuscripts. Now, manuscripts are very expensive, very fragile, very delicate, and they required careful handling. Different script styles made them difficult to read, limiting their use in everyday life. Literacy in pre-colonial Bengal. Despite village schools, many students learned to write without even reading texts. Teachers often dictated texts from memory, leading to literacy without direct reading experiences. Please look at the screen. This is an illustration of pages from the Gita Govinda of Jayadeva in the 18th century. Manuscripts in the age of letterpress. Hafiz's Diwan. Hafiz, a 14th century poet, is renowned for his collection works known as the Diwan. Artistry and design. The manuscripts feature beautiful calligraphy, elaborate illustrations, and intricate designs. Continued tradition. Despite the advent of the letterpress, such manuscripts continued to be produced for the wealthy and the kings. This is an illustration of pages from the Diwan of Hafiz in 1824. This is an illustration of pages from the Rig Veda. Let's see the introduction of print in India. Arrival of the printing press brought to Goa by Portuguese missionaries in the mid-16th century. Jesuit priests printed tracts in Konkani and Kannada. 50 books by 1674. The first Tamil book printed in 1579 at Cochin, and the first Malayalam book was printed in 1713. Dutch and English press. The Dutch Protestant missionaries printed 32 Tamil texts by 1710. And English press was slow to grow despite East India Company importing presses. So we can see that the Portuguese and the Dutch were quite ahead of the English when it came to the printing press. James Augustus Hikey and the Bengal Gazette. In 1780, Hikey launched the Bengal Gazette, an independent English weekly. It published advertisements, including those for slave trade and gossip about company officials. Governor General Warren Hastings persecuted Hikey and promoted official newspapers. So this was the first paper which was launched in colonial India in Bengal. Growth of Indian newspapers. By the late 18th century, several newspapers and journals emerged. The first Indian newspaper, the Bengal Gazette, was published by Gangadhar Bhattacharya, a close associate of Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Let's see Instabites. Early printing challenges in Calcutta, Bengal. William Bolt's notice in 1768 highlighted the lack of a printing press as a business disadvantage in Calcutta. What was the outcome? Bolts left for England shortly after, and the initiative did not materialize. He announced plans to support those skilled in printing much later. So we have seen the print in French Revolution, how the ideas of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Voltaire was influenced, and the people started reading about the despotism and started criticizing tyranny. Then we come to India. We have also seen that the print reached India, and we have the printing press later established in Calcutta and Bengal. We also got our first newspaper, which was started as the Bengal Gazette. I hope, students, you are enjoying studying this chapter with me. Please stay tuned to Insta's next video on the same chapter of print culture and the modern world. Thank you.